fluffy cuteness, damn it!
Final Fantasy X-2 took a more job system-based take on the Final Fantasy X gameplay. Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings turned the system of summoned monsters into a real-time strategy game. The Legend of Zelda was followed by, well, Zelda 2. Enough said. And Persona 4 Arena takes one of the best RPGs on the PS2 and turns it into a fighting game. A fighting game that sometimes forgets to fight and just turns into an audio drama. A game, regardless of genre, that isn't content simply being a much-anticipated sequel to Persona 4, but also goes into detail with the events following Persona 3. The kind of game that recognizes that its premise, the cast of P4 along with some holdovers from P3 and this new girl Labris all fighting each other to the death, is patently absurd, but can be explained pretty well by a couple dozen hours of all-new plot as told from a dozen different viewpoints. The kind of game that might have been made just for me. So the fighting. This is a genuine Arc System Works title, so if you're familiar with the kind of frenetic strangeness that pervades Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, you'll be right at home. There are 13 characters, 7 from P4, 4 from P3, and normal and shadow versions of Labris, a convenient construct assembled in, well, save it for the story mode. What makes the game unique is the mid-battle summoning of personas used for various attacks and effects, and justifying the over-the-top action amongst otherwise normal high school students. Disregarding Kanji's seemingly infinite supply of folding chairs. Your persona attacks will be unavailable, though, if you're interrupted 4 times while using them, or if you're silenced. Yes, this is derived from an RPG after all, so where Guilty Gear only had poison, P4A adds rage, charm, fear, all of that crap you gotta keep a remedy on hand for. There's a bajillion complexities of the mechanics of this game, far than I can go into depth with here, but even if you recognize this and can execute it in your sleep, you'll have your hands full. And that would be enough, but then there's the story justifying the artifice of this game, justifying the artifice behind this game, the artifice behind this game justifying itself, or something like that. I'd hate to give away too much of the plot, but suffice it to say that, divorced from any fighting game aspects, this thing could stand on its own as a visual novel, with hours and hours of vocal tracks from the voices you know and love, or the Japanese vocal cast you never heard here in the States. While I'm usually about the bilingual audio options, the US cast for these games pretty uniformly knocked it out of the park, despite changing Teddy and Chia's voice actors. And that's a good thing, because there's a hell of a lot of plot here. One particular storyline goes on for about an hour and a half before the first battle, and the plot-centric fights aren't really that tough at all if you're an RPG person still getting your quarter-circle thumbs under you. You can usually auto-combo your way through them without having to deal with Axel Soul time loop shenanigans. It's an introduction to Persona for fans of 2D fighters, and an introduction to 2D fighters for fans of Persona without sacrificing quality at either end. You just have to make sure not to fall into the TV while you play.